In this video, we're looking at how to plant and grow Australian grass trees. The botanical name is Xanthorrhoea, and with over 20 different species, many are popular with landscapers, including Xanthorrhoea glauca, Pressii, johnsonii, and quadrangularis. These are a slow-growing plant in terms of forming a trunk. However, the foliage is fairly quick to establish, and you can have a great-looking grass tree in about 3 or 4 years. They're both drought and frost tolerant once established, and all require a free draining soil. So if you're considering planting a grass tree for your next landscaping project, then this is the way to go about it. And Robin from Fernacres Nursery is going to show us step by step how to plant and grow an Australian grass tree.
Today we're talking about Xanthorrhoea. These are examples of Xanthorrhoea in our driveway at the nursery, and these are seed grown and have been in the ground for just under 3 years. The pot you see in front of you is a 30 centimetre pot, and that's what was planted at the time, and you can see what 3 years growth has done. You can also see in the middle here all the new growth coming up, and this is a constant thing all year round. There's constant new growth, and this will form a big pom-pom of grass, as you can see, and then over an extended period of time, because they're eternally slow in their growth habit, a trunk will form. So to plant your grass tree, the size of the hole will be somewhat determined by the pot size. If you have heavier soil, it's really important to create the drainage. So in King Lake we do have heavy mountain soil, so the procedure is that you would dig a hole the same depth as what the plant is in the pot, but dig your hole slightly broader. You would then fill the hole with about 150 ml of stone, and that can be local stone, it can be blue metal, it can be scoria, can be broken bricks or terracotta if you don't have access to any of the other things. You then put a small handful of dynamic lifter on top of the stone, take your plant out of the pot and put it on top of the dynamic lifter and stone, which will then mean that the plant is raised slightly above the surrounding soil, which is what you want. So it means when you have cold, wet weather, you're creating drainage, because the one thing that Xanthorrhoeas hate is wet, soggy roots. Then you backfill your hole and mound your hole up to the level of the top of the potting mix. You can top dress with a bit of stone or a bit of mulch to ensure that when it's hot and dry you're not getting wind erosion of the soil, or when it's wet and soggy you're not getting rain erosion from the soil, exposing the roots too much to the elements. Other than that, give it a water in. If it's summertime when you're doing it, water it regularly, once a week over the summer period, twice a week if it's really windy. If it's winter, you can basically water it in and leave it alone. So using this method, you can go from a 12-inch or 30 centimetre pot size to this spectacular specimen that we have on the mound here in about 3 to 4 years. It's going to depend on what time of year you do plant, and it's also going to depend a little bit on the amount of exposure that your plant has. The more exposure you have, the happier it will be. This particular Xanthorrhoea is Xanthorrhoea glauca. It has a more grey-green foliage and it has a flatter, broader leaf. There are any number of varieties of grass tree or Xanthorrhoea, and they all differ a little bit. In the pot adjacent to the bottle tree is a Xanthorrhoea johnsonii that has more thin, narrow leaves, and that has a slower growth rate because of the thickness of the leaf. The thickness of the leaf is a very big determining factor of your growth rate. So the way I ask people to imagine it is stacks of paper to stacks of cardboard. It takes a lot more paper to make a stack and therefore a lot longer to create your trunk. A trunk on a Xanthorrhoea glauca, till it's visible, you're probably looking in the vicinity of 10 years.
That's it for planting Australian grass trees. For more information, you can visit the Fern Acres website. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel for regular updates on all aspects of gardening and other Australian native plants. And as always, good luck with your own gardening.